Hello, everybody. This week, doing a little bit better, starting out not muted. So we'll just give everybody a minute to jump on and join us here in the live and move in really quickly. So today, I'm going to show you how to delegate work in a way that is empowering for your employees and ensures that the tasks that you assign are completed effectively. My name is Craig Anderson. I am the president of ClearPath Coaching and Consulting. I have spent 25 years in corporate America, grew a small business from under $500,000 to $5 million in revenue in 3 years, and then started out in my coaching career with a real focus on some of the helping people with the challenges that I had when I was coming up through corporate America. I am not the Harvard MBA guy. I'm not any MBA guy. I graduated college some time ago with a degree in English, master's degree in higher education administration, found my way into a career in corporate America. Not really part of my plan. Can't really say that's where I thought I would end up. And I had a lot to learn, and really a lot of times had to kind of learn by watching and understanding what they were doing to see what was making them successful. And frankly, throughout my career, struggled a lot with imposter syndrome, a lot of thinking I was not measuring up to some of those Harvard MBAs and the other MBAs around the table. And I really work with executives and leaders and business owners who really are good at what they do, but don't necessarily know all the things that they need to be successful in corporate America or with growing their business around the skills that they particularly have. So that's what we talk about here at ClearPath Coaching and Consulting. And today what we're talking about is how new leaders, business owners can effectively delegate. We're going to talk today about delegation. It's no secret that delegating allows us to focus on what we're good at while our teams get things done for us. But as business begins to grow, as the pandemic ends, we're going to have a lot of growth going on. And with growth comes new and effective leaders we need to bring in. So I really want to spend some time talking about how delegation is one of the most important skills you need when you become a leader, especially right out of the gate. So today I want to share some tips on how to delegate well, because when it comes down to it, there are only two types of people in the world: those who know how to delegate and those who don't. I really found in my time working through my career, I saw some really great people who could delegate. I worked with one person at one point, and I was just amazed at both the scope of her areas of responsibility and how well she was able to delegate her work to her direct reports. Now, part of that is hiring great people, which is also an important ingredient for all of you as new leaders and business owners as you develop. But she had a system in place where she could very clearly articulate the vision of what she was trying to achieve through this work that she was delegating to them. And then further had a great system, which we'll talk about in the future, around accountability and check-ins to make sure that the work is getting done. And the beauty of it was, whenever we were sitting around a table, she always knew exactly what was going on with those projects. And that's an important piece of delegation, is staying on top of things at the same time. So we're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about the 3 keys to delegation. So the biggest challenge is figuring out how to delegate effectively. And to do this, you have to clearly articulate your vision and break it down into the tasks or milestones that are important for the person that you're delegating the work to. And by following these steps that we're going to talk about today, you're going to create a clear path forward for your staff so that that your delegation will be maximally effective for the work that you're going to do. You're laying out the expectations so there's no confusion about what happens next or who's responsible. So it's all about really getting clear on the vision and clear on the clarity and clear on the expectations and what the final product will look like, the work product will look like. So let's talk a bit about creating a clear vision when you're starting out, even before you delegate. This is really crucial just as a leadership skill in general, and we've talked about the importance of vision before. But with vision, what we're doing is we're clearly articulating what end products look like for our division, for our team, for our business, where it's going to look like in 3 years, or perhaps depending on the level you're at in the organization, maybe it's just 1 year. But we really want to have a clear vision of not we're going to be awesome, but we are going to have this kind of revenue or this kind of productivity or this many employees, or we're going to get this many of this thing produced. It's important to get really clear on it, because we want to paint that picture for what that looks like. If you're familiar with Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, he talks about kind of this idea of when he's sharing with his son how to mow the yard, of clean and green, and gets very clear on what clean and green looks like. And that's what this vision is. We're creating the vision so that everyone on your team knows what success looks like. So when you're delegating activities towards that vision of success to the team, they really understand what it is they're trying to achieve in the context of this work that you're delegating for them. And that's so crucial as you start to move this forward. So step one is create a clear vision of the future, because that's what you need to have that in hand. And that can scale down to the level of the project. It can scale up to the level of the entire organization. But it's very clear about, this is what I want the end product to look like. The next piece is how you communicate that to delegate more effectively. How do you communicate the vision of the project that you want to have? So let's talk about what those keys are towards communicating communicating effectively to the person to whom you're delegating this work. So let's talk about what that looks like. One, what it looks like is being clear to them about why this project is important, how this project that you're delegating to them works within the interconnectedness of the whole business or team or division that you're with. So they understand when you're assigning this to them, this is how it fits into that vision that we've already talked to them, and that we've already created. So we want to make sure they understand the importance of the assignment, how it fits in, maybe even what will follow from it, so they really understand how they're starting to create it, the kind of work, how it ties into the vision, and what they might need to be thinking about for adding on to that after the fact. So these are all important pieces of being clear and providing clarity to the employee about what things, what the context is. And always in this kind of communication with your employees, you want to make sure that you're communicating effectively to them and having them repeat back to you kind of what it is they're thinking. So, all right, tell me what you think I said, or tell me what you heard and what it looks like to you. So you get really clear that they understand the context. Then what you want to do is give them clarity around what you want the end product to look like. All right, so when you're done with this assignment, I need it to look like this, and I need it in this many days or by this date, so that they understand, here's what the end product's going to look like. Here is what you need to have that looks like success when it's done. If it's a report, or if it's work that's being done, or if it's a presentation that needs to get done, make sure you give them all that context. So now they understand what the context is of the project, why they're doing it, how it fits into the larger whole, why it's important to the organization. Two, you're getting real clear to them on what the end product looks like. Then you get out of the way as you're communicating this, except for one last piece, is you want to agree to a set of milestones. Now, sometimes within, if this is someone who you've done a lot of delegation to in the past and you've been really clear on this and they've had success on the work you're delegating to them before, you probably don't need as many checkpoints along the way. But if it's somebody who you're delegating a task to for the first time, or something of this level they've never received before, you want to set up a series of milestones. Say, all right, roughly this part of the project should be done here, this part here, this part here, this part here, and set those times so that they have an opportunity to check in with you on how they're progressing. That way you avoid kind of getting to the end and finding out they were way off track all along. You really want to make sure you're setting up these milestones so that you can get caught up on what's going on, understand any challenges that they're having, help them solve any challenges that they're having through that project. And things are moving on throughout the pace of the project. What I don't want you to do in this communication is tell them how to do the work. Let them have the freedom to do the work within the context of what you've provided. You've provided why it's important and how it fits. You've provided them what it looks like at the end. You've asked them to hit certain milestones to check in with you. But don't go about telling them how to do the minutia of the work. If they have questions, let them come to you. And you want to create an environment as a leader where people feel free to come to you on these kinds of issues. But let them figure out a way to get the work done within the confines of the time and the check-ins that you've created. Because people want to know that they can show their capability. They want to be able to show you that they can get this project done. And if you start telling them how to do every step of it, they're going to try and do it your way when it's not really probably natural, and it's going to slow them down. So we really want to give them the freedom to do the work the way they think it needs to be done within the context of it. So that's why it's so important for you to be clear about communicating the vision we talked about in step one, putting the project in context, talking about what follows from the project after their work is done, and tell them what the final product needs to look like. But how they get there, you really want to try and leave that piece up to them. So as you're working through the milestones, make sure you're getting lots of feedback and give and take through that process. Because ultimately, no employee wants to be micromanaged, and no employee wants you over their shoulder through the course of the project. That's why we create the milestones, because, hey, you stand back, you let them do the work, you're available if they have questions as they go through, and then you're checking in on those milestones. But you're not constantly sitting over their shoulder all the time saying, how's it going? How's it going? How's it going? That's not an environment where you're going to keep those employees for the long haul. As we go through today, if you have questions, please drop those questions in the comments. Happy to answer any questions that you have as we go through. The last piece of the project that we want to work on is how to delegate those tasks to those best able to complete it. So what do we know about the capabilities and capacities of our employees? So I already mentioned earlier that, somebody who you've done a lot of delegation to before in this area, you probably don't have to have as robust of a check-in process, and you probably don't have to spend as much time creating the context or describing what the end work looks like, because they know how you work, they know what's going on. But it may be something new. You may have new employees on the team, but you want to know your team well enough to know who has the capacity for this kind of work. That's not just kind of line rolled stuff like a marketing project or an accounting project or something like that. But also think about, does this require a lot of creativity? Who on the team has the background necessary to do the technical aspects of the task, but the creativity? Or do I need somebody who's really good at sharpening the pencil and really getting into the numbers? Think about who on your team best meets the need of that project, who has the background to do the project, but also has kind of those intangibles that are important in understanding how they're going to deliver the final work product. If you really need a whole lot of options in a project, you don't want to give it to somebody who, in our CVI methodology, is going to just be a builder and just go straight forward. You really want to have somebody who's got more of an innovator. And if you'd like to talk more about CVI, you can take a free version of the CVI. The scroll right below will tell you all you need. clearpathcoaches.com/CVI. It takes you about 15 minutes, and you'll get a great video explaining all your results. And you and I can check in and talk about it too. This is a great way for you as the leader to know more about your team's capabilities, not just their resume background, but the energy that they bring to the table and what they're able to do and how they're able to complete the project. Is this a project they need to bring a lot of people along with and who understand the vision of it? You might want someone with more of a merchant background. If it's a project that requires a lot of attention to detail and having a lot of data at hand to do the project, you probably want someone with more of a banker background. So the CVI really helps you as the leader put into context what it is that you've got going on around the table. So great tool to do it. So that's really how you want to delegate those tasks, is not only do they have the capability and the knowledge to do it, but do they have the energy and the inclination and the intangibles to do the project the way you want it done. And that's it. That's how you can start delegating effectively. We'll talk in a future session about accountability if they don't get it done and how you deal with those kinds of conversations. But again, let's talk about what the key 3 things. Create a clear vision overall for the business so everybody has the context for all the work they're doing all the time. 2, communicate your vision to delegate more effectively. Make sure they understand how the project fits within the context of the vision for the business and what's going on in the business. What work will follow from that so they know how to set the next person in the chain up for success, and set a series of milestones so you can check in on an established basis without micromanaging or hovering over the employees. And then finally, delegate those tasks to the people best able to complete it, not just those who have the background and the knowledge to do it, but also have the right personality and energy and fit for the outcome that you want for the project. So that's it. That's today's Clear Path Leadercast. I'd really encourage all of you viewing this to go down, take the core values index, clearpathcoaches.com/CVI. If nothing else, it's 15 minutes invested to learn a lot more about yourself and the energy that you bring when you walk into a room towards the larger whole of your team. And it's a great tool for you to understand all the energies your team brings to the table and why people kind of look at each other like they're crazy, why you don't understand why they think that way, or how to really work to build off those energies towards a greater success for the whole of the business. So thank you for attending today's Clear Path Leadercast. Look forward to talking to you all again next week. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.